Humans of the Cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, we're talking a little bit more about Phantom Nightmare. Sort of, not really. Phantom Nightmare is right around the corner. This will come out in the next a little over 2 months in the OCG, which means we're going to start getting reveals in probably about a month. We're going to start getting like heavy into the reveal cycle for Phantom Nightmare. All we have is the initial U-Bell support. It's cool stuff, but has no bearing on what the rest of the set could entail. And in looking at kind of the past of Yu-Gi-Oh's core set history, I also noticed that like when Konami makes a core set that has a bunch of new archetypes and some like I guess that's not it's more so like the new archetypes. When a new archetype comes out in a core set, or at least multiple, the next core set tends to have more support for those archetypes, maybe one new archetype, and then the rest is all support. So I actually expect this set to be heavier on legacy support than like actual new themes being revealed, because there were 3 new archetypes revealed in Age of Overlord, the set prior. So I think that sets us up for a lot of cool legacy support. You guys know I have my personal list of the archetypes I want to see more than anything. We're going to speed run through that right now of my 10 archetypes that I really hope get support in this set or by the end of the year, however that comes. And let's just get into it. Let me know your list down below, how you would change it and what archetypes you really think need to be on here, but this is mine. Starting off, Battery Men. This is the only archetype I would throw on here that probably needs a full 5+ cards. They have a couple of nice cards, but like, man, there is no glue holding this archetype together. There's no real payoff. It really needs a lot. It needs a total revamp aside from like Solar, 9 Volt, and the other cards are just okay. So they have like Reborns and stuff, but like, yeah, they only have a little bit to start. So they really need a big wave, but it's really the only archetype I put in here that needs a wave that big. Moving on. Whoa, wrong way. There we go. Next up, Crusadia. Crusadia is really interesting because I believe Crusadia literally needs 1 card, and they would at least become a rogue deck again. I think the biggest thing Crusadia could get is an emergency teleport card, because it does multiple things for the deck. Like, 1, it gives you a legit good engine extender starter card that you can get off of Regulus, which is really nice because it felt like Regulus was always just getting like really mid cards in the archetype because they never really had great spells and traps. 2, it can be used as an interruption, so even if you open it and have to use it to like do plays, you can search another off of Regulus doing your combo, and it's an e-tele, so it gets you an interruption on the opponent's turn as well, and it helps the deck with one of its biggest problems, which is being super normal summon dependent. If you normal summoned a Crusadia and your opponent just popped it, you probably just lost, because you have to open up link arrows to extend with any of the Crusadia. So it helps play through that as well. It helps in every area. Really cool. I don't think it needs much. It could get that, and maybe another main deck monster, maybe a Link 4 that's like out of this world crazy. Oh no, I guess they have Avermax. So like, yeah, they've kind of got a little bit. They're kind of like good. I don't know. That would be enough. But if they wanted to give them another way to interrupt people, like another main deck negation with Crusadia in the name, that could be cool. But definitely not fully necessary. So yeah, Crusadia, really cool. God, I'm going backwards. Next up, Cosmos. They're just an archetype that really hasn't gotten support in so long. Plus, because it is like 2 of the biggest, known movies, not just I guess, because Wizard of Oz isn't really a franchise, but biggest movies, in all of Western civilization combined lore-wise. It's really cool, and I know a lot of people dig it. I don't know how they would go about supporting this archetype, because its mechanic is inherently pretty flawed, and I also don't want to make this archetype too good, because if it becomes too good and easy, then the deck's going to be setting up non-targetable, floating, giant behemoth boss monsters left and right, and that's like a really annoying strategy that I honestly don't want to play against. So I don't know how they would support it, but they definitely could get some for sure. Magical Musketeers. This is a big one. This was rogue for a little bit. Hasn't seen support really since Max. That's been like legit impactful for the archetype. I think the biggest way I would help them is like giving them a good spell extender card. I don't know how it would work, but like just maybe it's a searcher where like opening Max or opening any Musketeer in this spell is just like, like the archetype doesn't have for an archetype that wants you to activate spells and traps under the monsters in the same column, they don't really have any in-archetype spells that do that turn 1. So I think that would really help them, especially if it was like a legit good extender. They kind of have a similar problem to Crusade, where they're very normal summon dependent, so maybe even just give them their own E-Telly. That's not the worst thing in the world, because it would extend you, it would work around one of the deck's biggest weaknesses, it would help you have more consistent access to triggering your Musketeers on turn 1. Seems pretty good. I don't know. I think that'd be cool. Alright, Magistus. This is one of the ones I've been kind of ringing through very recently in the last couple times I've done this type of video. I really think Magistus needs support. I did a video talking about how like Konami's doing this thing where every like 2 years, when they make an archetype, they give them their initial wave, they may give them like 1 or 2 little small waves of support in the next sets right after they come out, and then they wait like 2 years. And then 2 years later, they've come back. Unchained, you know, Ogdo Addict just got support. You know what I mean? B Trooper got a new card. Like, they're coming back around to all those types of those archetypes that came out a couple of years ago. S-Force did the same thing. Magistus is waiting. And I think Magistus has a really nice start, especially when you consider all the other, like, spellcaster engines that could work here. And it feels like the idea of this spellcaster pile deck is right on the cusp, but there's just not glue to hold it all together. And I think that glue could potentially come in the form of Magistus support. Either way, even just Magistus by themselves really never shined competitively, and I'd like them to get a wave that allows them to at least ring as like a solid rogue strategy, you know, in that vein, because I think they do have a really cool mechanic that we don't really see all that often. So yeah, definitely Magistus. Again, this is another archetype where I don't think they need much either. 2, maybe 3 cards. So cool. Next up, Spellbook, Magician of Prophecy. Yeah, Spellbooks are cool. Spellbooks are tight. They've gotten all their cards are off the ban list, sort of. I mean, obviously, is a Judgment that's still on at 1, which is fine. But, like, I was ringing for Spellbook support even before then. They feel like they could use, like, another main deck monster or two. That, like, even, like... Because, like, people used to play High Priestess as, like, sort of a main deck boss monster, but it was just a big body that pops stuff. If they actually got, like, a main deck boss monster that was, like, a legit... He's, like, an interruption. He's easy enough to get access to, and he provides board presence. Nothing out of this world, just, like, a nice control tool to take advantage of. That would be so freaking cool. And maybe he summons by, like, shuffling Spellbook cards back into the deck from Grave or something, or whatever. I don't know for sure, but... I really would like to see something like that. Or maybe even a new spell. It even feels like the spell lineup for them is like just okay nowadays. So they definitely need the help. I'd like to see something cool for them. Same idea. If it feels like we're on the cusp of potentially having a spellcaster pile be playable, we just need that final glue. It feels like there's a lot of really good tools. Dogmatica, Spellbook, Magistus, and so on. It's just not all coming together just yet, but we'll see. Subter. I've been singing about this one for a while. I really leaned off of Subter because it was just, you know, you would just play the Guru package or the Subter package plus the Red Eyes Black Dragon, Magician, whatever, garbage card, Dragoon. I hate that card. I hate that we have to play that right now if you want this deck to be playable in any sense. My idea is like kind of to get the kind of support that Altergeist got, right? Altergeist was kind of like Subter. It was like this stunning set 5 all the time kind of archetype, but then they got enough support that actually allowed them to play in the mid-range, and now I actually think they're like a really cool deck. The way they play is so cool. They have a couple 1-card combos that are okay, but their 2-card combos are immensely explosive. And I don't think Subter needs like immensely explosive 2-card combos, but if they just got more tools that allowed them to play more in this mid-range game, not necessarily combo, then I think I'd want to play those cards more than the Dragoon package anyway. Because you wouldn't, like, hopefully the support would be designed in a way where we wouldn't want to play Dragoon with them. And that would be really cool. That's kind of what I'm hoping on at this point in time. Hopefully that's something we get sooner than later. I just, design-wise, is one of my favorite aesthetically designed archetypes ever. It's my first competitive adjacent deck that I ever played. I really wanted to get support. Weather Painters, same vein as Magical Musketeers. This archetype I want it in here because it needs one card. I know they got their support like last year, but they need one card. They always needed like one card. And all that needs to be is a new canvas that is a decent interruption. Doesn't have to be out of this world because of the way Weather Painters work, where your monsters are coming back every turn. You have ways to recoup canvases really easily and everything. We just need, if you're not going full combo, we needed a canvas that was like, oh, I just still have my one backbone canvas that gives me a guaranteed interruption every turn. If it's a bounce and that's it. If a target and destroy a monster, just monsters, that works. If it targets a monster on the field and negates, it's just imperm. That works because it's every turn. So like in the grind game, that's pretty insane because it means playing into boards, potentially negating stuff before you have to play further into it. You know, every turn in the grind, your opponent's just not resolving a monster effect once per turn. And this deck grinds so well. If you just get to the grind game, you like win a lot of duels. It's all the deck needs, in my opinion, is like one decent canvas with just a basic interruption that's like at least borderline decent. You know, imperm or better. And that's what I'm praying for. Because, like, that's all they need. I think they have everything else. Maybe even a new consistency card, but you can play Prosperity. They'd be fine. Trickstar. I've been talking about this for a while, too. The only trepidation I have about Trickstar is just being careful about making Reincarnation Droll too accessible. Just with, like, you could play Small World and stuff and technically have, like, 6 Drolls instead of the 3 we had in the past. If we get new engine support for Trickstar, they may be able to access Reincarnation easier than ever before, and like, you know what I mean, just be able to access those 2 in combination too easily. That's the only thing I'd have trepidation about. But this archetype is still cool, and they've never had a good Link monster. Their Link monsters have been mid at best the entire time, but this is a Link era archetype that just like never had a good Link monster. So I'd like to see them get a legit Link monster. I always think of something that's like the Ancient Warriors Link, where it's a Link 2, easy to make in the archetype, but it is an interruption just by itself, and maybe offers you one piece of like access to engine, whatever it is. One like it searches you a card, it sets a Trickstar spell or trap, or whatever it is, gets a card back from grave, gets you a resource, and then is an interruption. I think that would be a huge step in the right direction. But yeah, that's just me. Or maybe even a trap card that's actually an interruption instead of Reincarnation trying to like mess with people's hands. That could be something cool as well. But yeah, just throwing it out there. And number 1, Magnet Warriors. You guys know how I feel about Magnet Warriors. This archetype was done so dirty on its inception, especially the Electromagnet Warriors. They came out right alongside ABC. Konami made ABC incredible. They made Magnet Warriors absolute turds, and that's exactly how it went. This archetype deserves its own contact fusion, just like ABC Dragon Buster. And this archetype would be so much better. I think the main deck monsters for this archetype are just straight up better than the ABC pieces in ABC, straight up, because these are like actual starters. Those are kind of like almost vanillas as far as like drawing them. You have to like get them in rotation. I really think it wouldn't even take that much. They have a couple extenders now. You have this really good core of main deck monsters. They need a legit payoff to what the deck does, like a legit boss monster, and maybe something else. Maybe a Link 2. Like, I don't know. Go from there. But they deserve it. It's a Yugi-based theme. Why has this not gotten more support, or at least better support? I don't get it. Why make Kaiba's stuff better than Yugi's? It's ridiculous. Especially with this much of a gap. It's not like it's like, oh, they made Kaiba better, but this is like still a rogue deck. This deck is nothing, and that deck has hung around in different formats for years and years and years. So I hate it. Make Magnet Warriors better, Konami. But I'm out of here for today. This is my speed run, 14 minutes. I could talk about this for an hour, but, you know, nobody would stay that long. But thank you so much for watching, as always. Let me know your list down below. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with, what you want to see in Phantom Nightmare, or just in the near future, archetypes you want to see support. I'd love to see it down below. Thank you. I will see you in the next video. Subscribe if you haven't. You want to see more stupid videos of me rambling like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.